We're live in three, two, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Planetmullins podcast. We're in season 2 and we're just blasting right on through. Today I have a multiple award-winning and ginormously best-selling artist who's sold over 1 million albums and singles in her career. Say hello to Crystal Lewis, everybody. Hey, Crystal.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going well today, Rob. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I was so happy to get a call to sub for your piano player a couple of weeks ago and to meet you at Spaghettini because I'd been hearing your name and, been a fan of yours for a really long time. And then all of a sudden, somebody's going to pay me to come hang out with you.
I like how that works.
Yeah, I felt like a cute girl in her 20s.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting when we were talking before the gig because, we did the rehearsal. You have a great band, and Spaghettini is a world famous venue now. But it was interesting when we were talking that you said you were just now finishing up a brand new album. So tell everybody about that, if you would.
Yes. So I did a Kickstarter in 2021 to fund a duets project. It's something that I've done a lot of duets in my career, actually, but I've never done a recording of only duets. So for some reason, last year, I just kind of felt like it was time to do that and started the writing process for that, and then realized I didn't have any way to pay for it. So I did a crowdfunding campaign, which actually was my third time to do a Kickstarter.
Wow.
To pay for a record. So it's I've done well with them. People have been supportive and it's been great. So we funded and now we are about, I'd say we're probably halfway through we've got all the tracks done. We have a handful of vocals done. So it's slow going, whenever you're merging people's schedules, it's not
right.
easy.
Well, yeah. And then are you kind of focusing duets as two singers, or are you singing with an instrument, or how's it working?
It's a little bit of all of the above. There's only one song on the record that is it's me and an instrument, and that is with Arturo Sandoval and his remarkable trumpet, and I am over the moon excited about that happening.
Wow, Arturo Sandoval, that's big.
I know. I've been such a fan for so many years, and he started working with Tony Guerrero, who's producing the record, and that was kind of I jumped on that like, oh, can you sing with me? And then there are a couple of other songs that have two vocalists. Like I'm doing a song with both my kids. I have a son and a daughter, and they're in their 20s, and so they're going to sing with me on a song.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you have any possible release date on this project or a title?
It's called Together We Can.
Okay, Together.
That's the title track, and the release date is February of 22. So 2/22.
2/22. That sounds good.
Duets, get it?
Oh, it's there's a method to your madness.
There is.
So it was really, and I told people when I shot that picture of us in the dressing room and put it on Instagram, what an honor it was for me to finally meet you and work with you, because way back in the 90s, you were on Frontline Records, and I was the keyboard player and co-producer for John Gibson, who was also on Frontline. And man, everybody was talking about you, and John was so hot about how incredible you were, and it was just Crystal Lewis, Crystal Lewis, Crystal Lewis. Then it was the Dove Awards, and it was, now I looked it up on the internet, and you've sold about 1.1 million albums and singles already, and that's just absolutely incredible. Congratulations on that accomplishment.
Thank you.
So and it says in your bio that you started out in church and then you ended up at age 15 getting on Nickelodeon network. Then that must have been really wacky.
Well, actually, so yes, I started in church. My dad was a pastor. And at 15, I was actually in a musical called High Tops, which was it was a Maranatha music situation. It was a Salty the Singing Songbook offshoot.
Okay.
Same people that had written this musical for like older kids. And so it wasn't until I was 21 that I did the Nickelodeon show.
Wow.
So I was signed to Frontline in the 80s and then early 90s. And Benny Hester became signed to Frontline as well. And so he and I became friends. And the woman who he was dating at the time was a television producer, director, creator person. And she had this show that she'd been working on for years.
Wow.
And because of my connection with Benny, and we met somehow, and she was at probably a showcase or two or something. And she was like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to be a part of it? So I wound up doing the pilot and shopping the pilot to various networks with her. It was so incredible. Wow. And then we went to Florida because of union things. They didn't want to film in LA and Universal Studios. There was
right.
Nickelodeon Studios was in Orlando.
Oh.
And so I filmed the whole first season, and eventually the show moved back to LA, and my career had kind of taken off, and I was married already at the time, and I got pregnant, and so I didn't end up going on to do any further seasons of the show, which is a huge regret and disappointment to me today. But I shouldn't say regret, because I don't live in that space. Right. But I do wonder often what my life would have been like had I kind of stuck around there.
Oh, I have a lot of those kind of moments too. I mean, but I can just picture you at 22 and pregnant and walking into Nickelodeon and saying, "Hey, I'm ready to do the next year."
They're like,
I'm trying to think of the last pregnant person I saw in Nickelodeon. Not that I watched that network.
Yeah, it's not really their brand, right?
It's not part of their thing. So then when you got going on Frontline for people that don't know about it, was an Orange County based Christian record company. And at that time, Christian rock was just kind of getting to be this huge thing. And the artist I worked with John Gibson, was doing amazingly big gigs. Now you, I think, were even doing bigger stuff than John. Like, what was the hugest gig that you did during that time?
At that point in time, because I was only on Frontline from 86, 87, because I was in a band called Wild Blue Yonder. Okay. First, that was sort of a little rockabilly band. And I believe we signed to them around 86. And I think my first solo record came out in 87 on Frontline. So, and I did three solo records. So I think I was done with them in 92, 91.
Okay.
Yeah. In early 92, late 91, something like that. So I had already started doing the Harvest Crusades with Greg Laurie and all that. And so those were at the Anaheim Stadium. And I mean, they were crazy.
That's crazy. The baseball stadiums hold like 40,000, 50,000.
Not like nuts. Just so surreal and bizarre. And I'm from Anaheim. I was born and raised in Anaheim. And so for me to sing, I mean, I think I did the national anthem there a couple times at a couple Angel games. Wow. But to do like a show,
right?
Which come on, that's what it was. It just was so surreal, really, really crazy.
Incredible. So did you, a lot of artists, they have their American thing they do, and then they do European tours. Did you do the European thing too?
Sadly, I did not. I traveled to Europe very small handful of times. I will say that one of my biggest claims to fame, so to speak, is the fact that I played 2 gigs in my career that if I never play another gig in my life, I can rest in the fact that I played these 2. And they were, one was Carnegie Hall, and it was shortly after, it was a year after 9/11, which my birthday is 9/11.
Oh, wow.
So 1 year later in 2001, there was a big benefit for firefighters at Carnegie Hall, this big gospel thing. And it was me and I think 2 other artists, and choir, orchestra, whole mind-blowing to me that I did that. And the other one was Royal Albert Hall in London. And it was, I don't even know how I got that gig. It was so crazy. And so I didn't tour Europe per se. I just had a couple of gigs like that were like, they hold such a special place in my heart for obvious reasons.
Well, Royal Albert Hall, that's over 100,000 people, and that's where Queen plays there, and
insane.
And my buddy, my buddy Jimmy Roberts is the sax player for Rod Stewart, and they play that space and do that kind of stuff. I mean, it's an incredible amount of stuff that you've accomplished while raising 2 kids. I mean, I looked through your wiki and it says 13 studio albums, 2 live albums, 4 compilations, 9 music video albums, 11 music videos, 24 singles. I mean, it's just kind of making me tired just to read your credits.
Well, me too. And I actually also did 8 albums in Spanish. So I didn't tour Europe much, but I toured Latin America quite a bit. So that was just a weird thing that came about early on that just sort of snowballed, and I ended up continuing to do that over the years. And I have not released, well, let's see. Oh, I released my last Spanish album in 2015. So not that long ago, but on this new duets project, the song that I'm doing with Arturo, or I should say Arturo, is we're translating that into Spanish, and I'm going to do that in both English and Spanish. And then there's one other song on the record that is with, in English, it's with 2 females, and in Spanish, it's with 2 females. And I'm going to do it in both English and Spanish with, 2 different people. So it's time. I haven't done anything in this new genre, like outside of CCM or gospel in Spanish. So this will be sort of my initial foray into that world with this genre. So
I noticed when we were doing the Spaghettini gig, it was basically a jazz quartet behind you and you singing standards. And what I found to be so incredible about it was I knew about your past, and I didn't really know that you were, kind of transitioning into singing jazz, Great American Songbook stuff and your jazz originals. And then I made the discovery of hearing your voice. It sounded so familiar, and it was so unique and so cool. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, this vocal tone has been copied by everybody. It's been copied by Miley Cyrus and Ariana Grande and Katy Perry and all of these people. And, when we chatted briefly before that gig, I was curious as to how you felt about kind of having your sound just stolen by all these younger people. Because I think they just, and, there's no copyright laws for things like that.
Right.
You can't. I mean, if they take your lyrics, then that's easily proven. But you can't really go into a courtroom and say, well, this person sounds like me, and I want half of all of Katy Perry's stuff, which is in a fair world. If I was Judge Mullins in the Laguna Hills courthouse, I would immediately give you like $150 million.
Thank you.
Because your sound is so I call it source. You know, your sound is source. It's nobody before you sounded like you, and all these people sound like you now. And I just want to acknowledge that, you know, my musical ears, I make my living with my ears. And I just noticed that right away about you. I mean, do you have any stories about interacting with any of these thieves that are?
Well, first of all, I would not deign to call them thieves, I guess.
Oh, they're
Um,
thieves. They stole it. They
it's,
stole
you
it.
know, you have to, I guess, get comfortable with the whole old adage of what is it that copying is not copying. What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh yeah, I know
It's
that
like
saying that you're thinking about
the highest form of flattery, you know, is
imitation is the
imitation.
yeah.
Yes. Um,
Yeah, but they're
I
doing it so well that it's like wrong. I mean, you know, I'm drinking coffee and I'm feeling my manliness. I'm like, I'm gonna go to Orange County and sue somebody today. What the heck?
Hey,
But really,
I mean,
you're
I've heard a story. I heard a story when I was on Roundhouse on the
okay.
Nickelodeon show. But like I said, we were filming in Orlando at Universal, and obviously Walt Disney World was across town.
Right.
And at that time we were filming in 92.
All right.
So we were there in, I believe, like December, January, filming our pilot. And then we were there all summer and into the fall. We all, as a cast, moved from LA to Orlando and lived there all together.
Amazing.
I mean, seriously, one of the greatest times of my life. The Mickey Mouse Club, the new Mickey Mouse Club, which at that time in that year was Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, you know, all these other people. Supposedly, and I have this on very good authority, so I'm not making this up. This was told to me that they would come and secretly watch our rehearsals because we were all quite a bit older than them. I was 21. I think there was one girl on our cast that was 17, but everybody else was 20s and up. So those kids were all young teenagers.
Wow.
And so they would come and basically spy on us and watch our rehearsals because we were the big kids. We were the big kids.
Oh, so that's how they.
And our show was written by the head writer for In Living. It was created and written by the head writer for In Living Color.
Wow.
So we were edgy. We did a lot of like pretty on the edge dancing and lots of singing. And man, it was a really unique, super cool show. And so later, of course, in life, to find out that they were watching us, and those girls who wanted to make their living as a singer, I was the person that they were watching and
so they
didn't know that at the time. But
so it wasn't really like a mentoring situation because, you know, in my world, I've always been a music teacher, and so people would come to me and say, well, I just, you know, heard this song or that song and the other song, and I want to learn to play like, you know, piano player XYZ and jazz or smooth jazz. And I'd say, oh, I remember when that person stole all of my identities. And then they watered it all down and put it on the wave. And then, you know, it was just like every song sounded like a Rob Mullins song, but none of them were written by me. Like, the music business is kind of crazy. But I guess Britney Spears was maybe one of the first people to kind of steal your stuff. And you know how sneaky young kids are. Like, they're not going to give up the credit. They're going to just say, go to your rehearsal, watch you, sneak off on their own, try and sing all your stuff. And then they're going to present it to the network like, hey, look at this brand new thing that I just came up with.
I mean, to be fair, I definitely don't think Britney Spears sounds anything like me. But Christina Aguilera, I could see maybe a little bit more of that. But I mean, I don't fault them for whatever, for looking for whatever it is. I will say that there are people like Katy Perry has been wonderful. Kelly Clarkson, let's see who else, T-Boz from TLC. There have been a lot of people, Tori Kelly, who have made it very clear that I was an influence to them, and they have mentioned me in countless interviews and all kinds of stuff like that. And I think it is very flattering, and I'm very honored that they all seem to find their own way and just kind of acknowledge, where their influences came from. So I'm very grateful.
They do all that after they've made like, $500 million and you're like raising your family,
So. Well, hey, I had a great career up until 2008. I had, we started our own label in 92 and, had a really, really wonderful go of things for a long time. So I chose the path that I chose at that time. And I don't, like I said before, I don't look back with regret or, any kind of negativity on the path that I was so fortunate to be able to walk.
Cool.
Just making different choices now, as I move forward. So,
the thing that was so impressive, and who was I talking to? I was speaking with one of my LA associates who's also a vocal producer after I did the Spaghettini gig with you, because he had never heard you sing live. He knew your reputation and knew all the albums and, some of the history and this and that. But we were talking as I was driving home, and he said, well, how did it go? And I said, I've never been in a situation on a gig where a singer sang for like 2 or 3 hours and didn't sing one out of tune note the whole gig.
Wow, thank you.
There wasn't one out of tune note the whole gig. I mean, and I'm really about the pitch. I mean, you probably noticed that I was trying these different textures behind your voice, like this really kind of swimmy Rhodes when you went into certain things. And Tony kept saying, play the acoustic piano sound. And I don't like that acoustic piano sound because it's not a piano. And I would really like to, at some point, just, sit down with you in a studio and play a real piano and have you sing. It would be truly great. I hope we can do that.
Oh, I would love that.
We should put that on our bucket list. So anyway, I'm a huger fan than I ever was before or after getting a chance to actually work with you, because hearing that kind of quality, and studio producers know that a singer like you is going to come in and you're just going to crush it in 5 minutes. And a lot of the younger,
I don't think I'm that great of a studio singer, to be honest. I take a long time to get it to where I want it to be.
Well, yeah.
And I don't mean that just from a perfectionist standpoint. I don't mean just like, oh, that's, I got to find what I want. I mean, ask Tony. Wait, maybe don't ask Tony. Tony. We have some hilarious moments in the studio where we just look at each other like, seriously? How can I not find that note? Like, I do this for a living. This is so weird. And there's just these funny moments where I think wonderfully humbling on occasion.
Well, that just means that when you and I do it, we have to do a live record, because I'm all about the live thing, and I've done a lot of live recording, and many people are really too scared to do that in the era of Logic and Pro Tools and fixing everything. And I love doing the live thing. It was an honor to play with you, and you're actually going to be back at Spaghettini regularly going on into the end of the year, right? Tell everybody about that before we wrap up.
I was so grateful this year to have what I guess you would call a residency there at Spaghettini. I've been there the last Sunday night of each month.
Okay.
And so there are only 3 left, and one is this weekend, or one is September 22nd. No, okay. Oh my gosh, hold on. 26th, September 26th. Sunday night, September 26th. And then I will not be there in October. It's the 1 month of the year I'm going to be out of town. Okay. I'll be there November 28th, I think.
Right.
The weekend
right.
after Thanksgiving,
Thanks.
and then the Sunday before Christmas.
Wow.
So,
That's awesome. Well, folks, you definitely want to, especially if you're, anywhere in Southern California, go hear this incredible singer, my guest, Crystal Lewis. It's a fabulous venue to enjoy some time. It's a world famous jazz club. You've got a great band, and I hope I hope your keyboard player gets sick and I can come do it again.
Well, for sure, we just need to make the live record thing happen, and then we'll just do our own night at Spaghettini.
That would be great. Now,
that's what we need.
Folks, you can reach Crystal via her website. It's crystallewis.com. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram, and you will not regret taking time out to check out her music. She's a class act. And Crystal, thank you for coming on the show.
You are so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and that's going to do it for another episode of the Planetmullins podcast. And we'll be putting this out on YouTube, as well as all the other standard places, Spotify, Amazon, Audible, and TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and all that. Okay, we're signing off for now. Thanks again, Crystal. Bye-bye, everybody.